Heather, seriously, this is a really bad idea.
Do you even have that thing on?
No, and if I did, it'd be too dark to get a decent exposure anyway. Can we go now?
What is it?
I don't know. It looks like a fuse box.
But those are telephone wires.
Close, sweetie pie. Try silent alarm. Talk about wrong place, wrong time.
Shouldn't you kids be home on a school night?
Or at least minding your own business?
The streets are our business. Whatever you guys are doing back here, there are cops just a few blocks from here, and we've got this all on tape, so you won't get away with it.
Listen to this kid. He thinks he's some kind of hero. Who do you think you are? The Batman?
Mikey.
Damn dead ends.
Are you getting this?
Joke's on you, pal. Boss Thomas Extra to the one that takes you down.
So, there's your cliffhanger. and that's why I'm here. Feels like the Academy Awards. It's kind of cool to show the clip and then talk a little bit about it. My name's Jerry Vasilatos. As John introduced me, I'm a local filmmaker, now based here in Chicago after having spent 10 years in Los Angeles working on different programs and building up my credentials to return here to Chicago this past year. This is how I was contacted to participate in the New Media Summit, by creating some buzz for a short movie that I've produced and directed as a spec piece for my directing reel, to generate buzz and help myself promote myself as a director using the power of new media through the internet and other online sources in the blogosphere. For those of you who want to see how it ended, you've got copies of the project in your goodie bags. I gave out DVDs so you can actually watch the whole film on your own while I talk a little bit about this concept or of fan films, how filmmakers will go out to create something to get some buzz for themselves, utilizing familiarity with existing characters and existing films so that they can get some attention for themselves and other projects that they're trying to develop. When I set out to make this film, in May, I realized I had a window of opportunity to create something that I might be able to piggyback along with all the attention that The Dark Knight was going to get. So why did I choose to do this Batman fan movie? Well, I'm a huge Batman fan, number one, and I realized Warner Brothers probably won't be asking me to direct a Batman movie anytime soon. So I chose to write a short story that I knew I could piggyback with all of the publicity that Dark Knight was going to be getting and also contribute something to the Batman mythology. My father asked me, why don't you do something that's original and something that's your own, which I completely, fully agree with. That's actually what my intentions are as a filmmaker and director. But I do realize that it's sometimes a little bit of a struggle for a filmmaker starting out to present their own story and get attention as opposed to people seeing something that they're familiar with and asking you, well, what's new, what's next for you? What are you going to be doing next as a result of this project that you got some attention for? So the point of this was to create buzz. And this event is an example of how that buzz paid off and being able to come forth and speak to you all about myself and what I'm doing and future projects that I'm hoping to get off the ground as a filmmaker. Let's see, my history. I'm a native Chicagoan. Back in 1993, I wrote, produced, and directed a Christmas movie named Solstice that ended up on Lifetime Television. Shortly after that, I moved to Los Angeles. But this was really my first experience trying to figure out how can I use, at that time, not so much the power of the internet, but the power of other stories behind the making of this film to try to get some attention. I remember at the time that I put this together, the internet was still kind of in its infancy. This is back in 93, 92, 93. So to create some buzz for it, I would focus on some of the personal story that went into making the film, pulling from my own life. I had financed the film with a personal injury settlement that I had gained from losing my leg going to college here at Columbia College down in Chicago. And as a result of that, I utilized the money that I'd gotten for that injury and decided, well, nobody's going to be paying to make my movie, so I decided to go out and do it on my own. And by virtue of the personal story behind how I made the film, by putting my own skin in the game and using my own money, it made it a more marketable story for people that were sitting up and paying attention. And Lifetime Television sat up and took notice through a producer's representative. And the way that I promoted the film, once they licensed it for broadcast, was also focusing on my personal story as an independent filmmaker struggling to get something off the ground and reach an audience, as well as the power of the movie that seemed to have gained some acceptance and a following. Oh, that's when I had more hair working on the film. So let's see. When I left Chicago, after I did Solstice and got some exposure on Lifetime Television from it, I pretty much kicked around as an editor, trying to do everything that I could to get other directing projects off the ground. One thing that I noticed was very interesting with filmmakers in Los Angeles that were trying to get attention, which kind of led me to where I am now, was the concept of doing the fan film. I don't know how many of you are familiar with what a quote-unquote fan film is. Essentially, it's a filmmaker that doesn't have the rights to something, either doing a spoof or doing something that is connected to a recognizable property. Two big films that came out in the mid-90s that got a lot of exposure on the internet for the filmmakers that put them together were George Lucas in Love and Troops, both of the Star Wars genre. People knew Star Wars. That's how they knew that they would get their film shown or they would get their film seen on the internet and then open the door for themselves for the projects that they wanted to get off the ground once agents sat up and took notice, producers took notice at their creativity in contributing something to these different genres. And for the filmmakers who decided to rely on doing fan films, it made a good calling card for them, because people would pay attention. Then, a couple of independent filmmakers did the Blair Witch Project, which obviously we all know what an amazing success it was, and it spurred a lot of other filmmakers in Los Angeles to go forward and do spoofs, kind of ride the coattails of it to get attention for themselves. At the time that this came out, I was approached by a couple of filmmakers who were doing this type of a movie, and this what kind of originally opened my eyes to the power of what you could do with this. And what kind of made me sit up and get creative about it was seeing all these filmmakers trying to ride the coattails of something that had had a lot of success. So I ended up doing, I don't know if you'd call it a fan film or a spoof, but it was actually, I think the first feature-length spoof of the Blair Witch Project called The Blair Witch Rejects, and it was about a bunch of filmmakers trying to ride the coattails of the Blair Witch Project. Got attention by Entertainment Weekly. We put it out on home video, sold it in Musicland stores. I was able to use this along with my Christmas movie that I had made to continue building up the buzz, to continue building up the momentum as I was trying to meet with agents, producers, trying to get other projects off the ground. And because it was related to something that people were familiar with, it got the attention. Now we've got the internet. Now we've got this amazing conduit that people can use to get their work out there for people to see. It's a new media resource where everybody has a voice and a platform. Seeing how filmmakers have been using YouTube also to promote their careers and the projects that they're working on was one of the other things that made me realize that I can continue promoting the projects that I'm doing by using the power of the internet and new media to get my own projects off the ground. by virtue of having done Dark Knight Project, which is what brought me here. We've also got MySpace. One of the ways I realized would be very powerful to get people to pay attention to this before we even started working on the Dark Knight Project, I created a MySpace page for my two characters. They don't exist. They're my two actors. They're Heather and Mikey, and they live in Gotham City. But last summer, Warner Brothers was doing an extensive viral marketing campaign online to promote the Dark Knight and essentially fill in audiences before Dark Knight came out with what was happening in Gotham City between movies. So I kind of took that germ of an idea, saw the preview for the Dark Knight that was in theaters at Christmas time, the bank robbery scene, and I figured maybe this is an opportunity here for me to use this window and do a short movie based on something I'm passionate about, Batman, one of my favorite characters. Learn from the way that Warner Brothers is virally marketing this movie that's going to be coming, making it an event, and doing the same thing with my little project I'm going to do to get people to pay attention and wonder, well, what is this? How is it related to The Dark Knight? So we created the MySpace page for Heather and Mikey. The concept of the movie is two Gotham City kids decide that they want to be the first in Gotham City to get real, actual video of Batman, because all anyone's ever gotten have been still images in the newspapers. So they take off one night, meet with different people in Gotham City with their cameras, are trying to find out if he's an urban legend or if he's actually something that the police have made up to scare criminals, or if he's for real. And so their MySpace page was as if they really exist, talking to people that they're doing their high school project and that they want to go out and get video of this vigilante that everybody's talking about. Well, I went to different Batman fan sites and told them, the webmasters, hey, I'm doing this fan movie, would you help us promote it? Well, when are you going to have it done? Well, we're going to be shooting it in a couple weeks. We're going to have it online before The Dark Knight's in theaters. It's going to bridge the gap between the two movies with a new story. This was one website that pointed to our MySpace page and helped us out by telling the fans, you know, this might be one of Warner Brothers' viral marketing sites. You guys ought to pay attention to that MySpace page and see what's going to happen. That's what drove traffic to the MySpace page as well as the website. By the time we had the film done and online, there was actually some buzz going on our film that hadn't been done yet, or was in production and was going to be released. And it got people to the website. July 14th was our launch date, so we had like 2,000 hits at the site before the movie even went online, because people were wondering, is this Warner Brothers? Who is this that's doing this, and what's going to happen here? Also talked to a lot of local media sources like Hollywood, Chicago. They were helpful in promoting it. Ruth Ratney's REELZ Chicago. I mean, it really was a matter of like trying to piggyback any attention we could get locally, putting out PR, press releases through PR Newswire, guerrilla marketing on message boards related to Batman or comic books or fan films, got all the buzz going ahead of time. This is all the stuff that helps an independent filmmaker get some attention for themselves as they're trying to get their career off the ground. And I think one of the reasons that it's exciting for me to come here and share this little adventure in filmmaking with you is to be able to impress upon independent filmmakers. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to have publicists. You don't have to have a lot of PR people. If you know how to spot trends and how to look online or use the power of the internet and new media, release your film online. You don't have to even rent a theater to get it out there. If you know how to create the buzz to get people to come to your website and pay attention to what you're doing, it could be very, very valuable and get you the attention that you need as you're trying to get other projects off the ground and get people to sit up and pay attention, which was one of the whole points of this exercise. This is the result of all the viral marketing that I did on my own with the message boards, local media sites. It's all over Google now. It's virally spread everywhere. So when people are looking for Dark Knight, they can find our project, which also leads to my website. I have my own production company called Nightstar Productions. I've done other film projects, but this right now is kind of like the crown jewel of what I've done recently as I'm re-entering the freelance market here in Chicago, working as a producer, director, and editor. I mean, this was really more of an opportunity to share something entertaining and also maybe help inspire new filmmakers, other independent filmmakers, with some new ideas on how they might be able to get some attention. I think it's very important to do your own original films, obviously. But if you have an opportunity, that there's something that you're really passionate about, in this case, you know, a genre that I was interested in, and there's an opportunity that people will be paying attention to that trend, see if you can take advantage of the window of opportunity to do something during that period. I mean, I came up with the story idea in May, turned the 15-minute film around in a month, had it online in July, a week before Dark Knight hit theaters, and that's how we got all of our attention, and it's been helping me now that I'm back here in Chicago, furthering my career along with the 10 years of credentials I had out in Los Angeles before returning to Chicago last year. Yes, I was going to open it up for questions. Yes. Yes. The question was getting around the copyright issues, which is a very valid question. This is just essentially an expensive home movie. I'm not making any money off of it. So long as you don't charge people or sell the movie, there's a whole underground niche of fan filmmakers online that basically release their stuff online for free. I give the movie away. I use it on my directing reel. I was able to source the costumes and everything from, you know, different artisans who were creating the costumes that I could put pieces together. But I knew when I went into this that this is not to make money. This was just to be able to have something strong and hopefully impressive enough that it looks like it came out of Warner Brothers to get people to sit up and pay attention, that I know how to make something look like a Hollywood film, and then further get my own feature film projects off the ground that I'm working on here in Chicago. So I think as long as filmmakers understand, this is not an opportunity to make money. This is not an opportunity to capitalize on someone else's copyright. This is an opportunity to show what you got so long as you're giving it away for free. Studios generally won't bother you. I sent a copy to Chris Nolan. I mean, I had contact to him through Warner Brothers, and I don't know if he's seen it yet. I mean, I basically sent it to him saying, hey, I'm a fan, and you're on vacation now, so this is nowhere near what you've done, but sit back and I hope you enjoy it because I'm a big admirer and you've inspired filmmakers like myself, not just with this film, but with other things that I want to get off the ground. I know DC Comics specifically said, as long as fan filmmakers are not making money off of their copyrighted characters, go to town. I mean, I actually have a link to that on the website. And in recent years, George Lucas actually, Lucasfilm did kind of have a little bit of a stance on it that, you know, they didn't know what stance to take, but they realized it would actually benefit them more to be supporting filmmakers that were inspired by what Lucas was doing than to, you know, how much more money does Lucas need to like go suing young people or independent filmmakers who are inspired by his work. I mean, there's a whole legal question about it. I think it's in the best interest of studios, though, for good PR to recognize that we're not doing this to make money. We're just using it as a way to showcase our creativity. And so long as we're not infringing on their copyright by selling or damaging the value of their copyrighted characters or properties, generally they'll play nice with you, I think. I haven't heard of anybody being shut down doing a fan film so long as they followed those rules. Thank you very much for this opportunity.